Well, today we are talking with Tommy Stovall and Marc Sterling, and they are in the film business and doing really great things all of a sudden. So, hey, welcome to you guys.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah.
The company is called Passage Productions. And Tommy, you guys, both of you, well, let me say, first of all, Tommy, you're the writer producer on many of these programs, shows, and Marc, you're the co-producer. And your movie Condition of Return is getting a lot of buzz and a lot of awards. Tell us, I want to start out by asking you what is the storyline? Tell us about Condition of Return, and then we'll get into your journey.
Well, Condition of Return, it's a psychological thriller, and it takes on some pretty heavy topics. It's basically about a woman who commits a mass shooting, and she's arrested, and a psychologist is brought in to figure out if she's fit to stand trial. And throughout the film, you start to learn her backstory and how she came to do what she did. Why did she do it? And it takes on some supernatural elements, a lot of interesting twists and turns, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a pretty compelling story.
Yes, it is. I've watched the trailer. So what sort of awards is it already getting? What sort of
We premiered, our world premiere was at the Sedona International Film Festival, and our lead actress Anna Lynn McCord won Best Actress. So we were really happy about that.
And you have now produced 5 films?
Yeah, this is our 5th film.
I'm going to get to the business side in a minute, but tell us about some other awards. Maybe I think maybe you won the Bram Stoker Award for another film.
Oh yeah, we did a vampire film a few years ago, and it was really exciting because we premiered the film in Transylvania.
Oh, okay.
And they had the first ever international vampire film and arts festival in Transylvania that year, and we won the Golden Stake Award for best feature film. Yeah, so that was really exciting. That was pretty cool to premiere your vampire film in Transylvania.
Yes, I'd say. And Tommy, you were born and raised in Texas Hill Country, a long way from Hollywood and New York. So how did you get started as a writer and a filmmaker?
Well, I started when I was in high school. My family got a video camera, and I kind of confiscated it and became obsessed with it. And so I started making just movies for fun with friends and family, and we would make these little horror movies and stuff like that. And it never occurred to me that I was, going to actually try to do it for real someday. Um, but I ended up then when I went to college, I discovered that, with my video camera, I could actually make money with it. I started videotaping weddings and stuff, and anything anyone would pay me to videotape, I would do. Corporate videos, instructional videos, promotional type stuff, and like I said, I did a lot of weddings, tons of weddings,
Okay.
and so I had my own video production company, and during college, I kind of came to a point where I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I decided I didn't want to do what I had planned to do. And then it just occurred to me, I said, well, maybe I should just major in film, and TV,
Yeah.
since that's what I was interested in. And so that's what I ended up doing. And I got a degree in radio, TV, and film. And kept the video production company going for a few years. Uh, and then later on, when I met Marc, you know, kept doing videos, you know, occasionally, and started helping him with the accounting stuff. And finally, you know, we moved to Sedona, and they had a film school here in Sedona. And it just kind of got me thinking, you know, I went to a couple of seminars on screenwriting. They had the Sedona Film Festival uh, that year just so happened to have a workshop on screenwriting, and they brought in a bunch of Hollywood screenwriters to do a workshop.
Oh.
And there were like 5 or 6 of these, you know, big time Hollywood screenwriters on the panel on the stage up there. And they were just talking about, you know, how to write a script and what it takes, and all this. And so I got all the books on screenwriting, and because I wanted to do a film for a while, and I thought, well, I would just have to hire a writer, you know, to write a script, and then I would have something to direct and produce. And it became pretty clear fast that that wasn't that easy to do. You know, it
Right.
wasn't easy just to find a writer that could write a good script. And so I decided, well, I'm just going to have to do it myself. I'm going to have to teach myself how to write a script, and give it a shot, and see, you know, see if that works. And so that's what I did. I learned how to write a script, um,
And
and wrote a script for our
yeah,
first film.
that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, Marc, I want to ask you, I mean, you know, the film business is brutal, from both the side of writing and producing. And there are so many elements, financial elements, that you have to think about. So, Marc, you had a lot of courage to take on this financial risk, huh?
Yeah,
How do
you
you
know,
do
we decided when we were talking about the movie, you know, we like to just do things. We don't like to just talk about them. So we thought, like, okay, well, we're going to do a movie. All right, let's do a movie. And then, you know, we from the time we decided to do it, it was almost like 45 days. You know, we raised, you know, we called friends and family, raised some money. We put, you know, we always, you know, have a big stake in the game too. And but you know, one of the big mistakes that a lot of filmmakers make is that they don't have the money available at the beginning. You know, they start underfunded, and then they start making the film, and that's why a lot of them stop in the middle, or they stop paying people, and that's where people get a reputation for that. So, you know, we always make sure, you know, we have the whole, you know, business plan, and the for all the investors, we had the private placement memorandums and all the subscription agreements, and all, you know, we make sure we do it right. You know, we have all the attorneys. It's all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. So
Wow.
this way, everybody, you know, knows, you know, everything. Look, investing in a movie is always high risk. The rewards can be good too. You know, there's just, you know, you just never know with a film, you know, and you know, there's a lot of when other people are in charge of the financial side, and they're spending your money, they're not as prudent, not as you know, it's easier to spend somebody else's money. So
Yeah.
so we end up, you know, we decided, you know, we did the first film, and we shot it in Dallas. You know, Hate Crime was the first film we did in Dallas, and we had just moved to Sedona. We went back to Dallas because that was our, you know, our old stomping ground. And that's when we were like, you know, we can, you know, we can do this, but we didn't know what to do. So we had other people. We hired a bunch of people, and you know, we learned how other people do spend your money much faster than you spend yours. So after that, you know, we decided we would just do our own, and you know, from line we work cheap, and we don't pay ourselves. So you know, we can be the director, writer, producer, accountant, line producer, whatever, you know, and then, you know, and then we learned, once you get into it, and we'll be talking about later, is that, you know, Tommy, on the post work, you know, instead of hiring it out and paying a bunch of people, you know, he taught himself how to do that too. So there's a lot of, you know, we bring in the experts that we need to, and then a lot of the stuff, you know, he's a perfectionist, so you know, he doesn't like to let it go without it being, you know, the way he wants it. So as an artist.
Oh, that's just amazing.
Mhm.
And Tommy, you've written now a lot of scripts. What is the most difficult thing for you about writing and the producing side?
Well, I found that, you know, when I've written stuff, it's always intended for myself to actually do it. You know, I'm writing for myself. I'm not, you know, every time I write something, I'm not thinking, oh, well, I'm going to write this and see if someone else wants to produce it. I'm writing it with the intention of actually doing it. So for me, the writing is just a part of the overall process. You know, because when I'm writing, I'm thinking about, you know, where we're going to be shooting it and how we're going to be shooting it and how it's going to be edited. You know, writing it doesn't come that easy for me. Um, I I will say that screenwriting is a much different form of writing than, you know, writing a novel or what have you, because I've tried to write a novel and then that's not easy at all. There's, you know, I don't think there's any way I could do it.
Right.
But when you're writing a screenplay, you know, it goes along with the way I sort of think visually and you know, when I'm imagining a movie. Uh, so it's a lot easier for me to write in that form. And so yeah, it's, you know, I'm always thinking about, you know, how we're going to be doing this as I'm writing the words on the page. And I'm thinking about budget. You know, I'm always thinking about budget.
Right.
How are we going to, you know, let's write a scene. Well, how are we going to write this scene to where it costs the least amount, you know, that we can
Does Mark tell you
spend?
no sometimes?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not,
look,
I'm telling myself no a lot of the times too.
Yeah.
yeah, he's pretty hard on himself. It's, well, you know, we'll have a location picked out and you know, to do something sometimes in that place is just, I mean, you just can't do it. And you know, and like with Condition of Return, you know, we had some challenges for locations. You know, we had
And this
uh,
was shot
in
in
Phoenix,
Arizona,
yeah,
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Okay.
the Phoenix area, and you know, we had a challenge to find a prison cell, prison cafeteria, the inside of a first class commercial airplane. So we couldn't find them, so we actually had to build the sets, and that's the first time we've actually had to build sets
Wow.
too.
Wow. You built the sets as well? Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you look at the cost of building the set versus, you know, taking your whole crew to another city or state to find that, you know, to be able to shoot there too. And then you compare the costs and say, well, it's cheaper to build something here. And what's it going to look like? That really needs to look real. And, you know, and then that's kind of how we
The
kind of,
challenge. Well, now, how important is it to find good actors, Tommy? And how do you do that? And how do you know if they're going to be good or not?
Well, actors are hugely important. Uh, on our first film, Hate Crime, I was lucky enough to uh, get some really valuable help. I had contacted, you know, we had planned to go back to Dallas and film the movie. And my thought was at the time we would just go to Dallas, we would find a casting director locally, and we would just hire a bunch of local actors. You know, that's what I thought we would do because our budget was really low, and I thought that's all would we, you know, be able to do. And so I did. I contacted a talent agent in Dallas, and she read the script and she asked me if she could send it to a casting director in Los Angeles. And I said, "Oh, sure, why not?" You know. And so she did, and the casting director contacted me and said, you know, she loved the script and she would love to work on it. I said, "Oh, okay." You know, I wasn't sure what that meant. And she said, "Oh," and you know, a couple of days later, she got back to me. She said, "Well, you know, I need a breakdown so I can send this out to the talent agents here in LA." And I said, well, what is a breakdown? You know, I didn't really know what all that meant.
You were
And
learning the terms as well.
exactly, exactly. And she says, okay, I just need a, description of the characters you want to cast. And at the time we were casting two of the characters, two main characters. And so I gave them what she asked for. And literally a day later, she had sent this out to all the talent agents. And she sent me this long list of actors that had submitted
Whoa.
for this project. And the astonishing thing was there were all these actors who had names that were recognizable. I knew who they were. These were actors on TV shows and movies and people we grew up watching and stuff like that. And I was floored. I was shocked. And she said, okay, well, I said, well, what happens now? She said, well, why don't you tell me which actors you're interested in, and we'll set up some auditions, for this one part. And, actors who have been at it a long time, who are a little more famous, they probably won't want to audition. So you'll have to come to LA and meet with them. And, and I said, oh, okay. And so I, gave her the list of actors I was interested in. And before I knew it, I was in LA doing auditions with these actors I had seen on TV.
Wow.
Which was nerve-wracking, as all could get out. And then I was meeting with these, famous actresses that, like I said, that I'd grown up with. I was having these, lunch meetings and just talking about the project, and it was a surreal experience. And so, what I thought would be, going to Dallas, shooting the film with a bunch of unknown actors, all of a sudden we had the possibility of hiring these really good, experienced actors.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. We ended up hiring, two actors for those two roles. And we learned once that happens, then you sort of get this snowball effect where these actors are interested, and then other actors in LA find out about the project, and they find out
Right.
that so and so actor is going to be in it, so they
Right.
become interested.
Right.
And before we ended up, and then the actors that you hire, they want to recommend their friends, they want to refer their friends.
Of course.
One of the actors we had that we had hired was Cindy Pickett. And she asked me, she said, well, what do you think about Bruce Davison for, there was this part of a preacher in the film, and what do you think about Bruce Davison for the preacher? And I says, wow, that would be incredible. Is that even possible? She said, oh yeah, I'm a friend, he's a friend of mine. I'll just send him the script.
Right.
And so that's what happened, and then it all happened really pretty quickly.
But
And
besides, yeah, I mean, you're good guys. So I
yeah,
want to ask too, Mark, what are some of the best ways to market the movies? And you guys go around to a lot of festivals, right?
Well, we started off the first couple films. The first film we did like over 33, 34 different film festivals. And
Whoa.
we traveled with them. We promoted them in every city. We had it's all original music. We had songs remixed. We hit the top 20 Billboard dance in the dance clubs for the music. We did and we did a lot. I mean, when we traveled with it, so it's a very expensive way to do it, and it's good to do some film festivals. But we went, it was our first foray, and it was like, this is really cool. But after you make a film, you think the hard part's done. You're like, oh, great. But then it's like, oh my gosh, we thought someone would just say, oh, here's $5 million. Thank you for doing the movie, and move on. So that doesn't happen. So Tommy spends a lot of time, kind of working, trying to get a distributor. Every film we've distributed differently. We've had outside, we've used distributors. We've also self-distributed, and one of them too. So you have to find the right people to work with you to help get the movie out there, because the distributor doesn't promote. The distributor just kind of, they're able to get it to certain outlets and to certain streaming services now. Back when we did the first movie, Hate Crime, we didn't have, I mean, we made our money selling videos to Blockbuster Video. It
But
wasn't.
now on Condition of Return, you guys are all over the place, right?
Yeah, we're on, for Condition of Return, we're on all, and Tommy, all the different places. You've got the list.
Yeah, we're on all the cable providers, Cox Cable, DirecTV, Dish, all of that we're on. And now we're on a lot of the streaming services, Apple TV, iTunes, YouTube, Vudu. We'll be on Amazon Prime pretty soon.
How
So yeah, we're
tough was
everywhere.
it for you to be picked up, to convince these distributors to distribute?
We found a distributor who, is able, if they take a film, they have these relationships where if they think a film is good enough, then they can put them on all these platforms.
And there are a lot of people that approach us, and you have to do a lot of research looking at distributors, because there's a lot of challenges with some distributors, and you just talk to other filmmakers who've had experience with those filmmakers, and Tommy did a lot of that. So then you have all these opportunities, and then you try to whittle it down to see who's a good fit for us, with our personality, with their personality. How do we work together to get the film out there? And then we start, like right now, you were asking about the advertising. We're using a lot of social media this time. It's the first time we've actually done that. So we're using, Facebook and Instagram, and doing ads, and YouTube, and doing ads, and just really pushing it out there, using social influencers. We had a red carpet in Los Angeles 2 months ago, right? Something like that.
About a month ago. Yeah.
Month ago. Seems like, yeah. And then, so we have a couple of PR firms working with us. The actors are all gung-ho about helping and making this work, because they're great to work with. And, we have, Tommy, discuss the cast real quick, because we got a really cool cast.
Yeah, well, our lead actress is Anna Lynn McCord. A lot of people know her from Nip Tuck and 90210. She's our lead, and she's been doing a lot of press. She just had an interview come out in Rolling Stone magazine, so that was very exciting, where she talks about the film. And we have Dean Cain, most people know as Superman, from the Lois and Clark series. We have Natasha Henstridge and James Russo, among many other wonderful actors.
That's cool. Now, tell me that most of the films that you've done are in the areas of thrillers and crime and that sort of thing. Why are you focusing on that? Is that rather than drama? Is that do you feel that there's a bigger market for that, or?
Yeah, it's what sells, basically. It's a lot easier to sell a genre film such as a thriller or action or horror, particularly in the foreign markets. Dramas are just harder to sell, unless you have a really, really high profile actor, or unless it gets a lot of buzz at a big major film festival. It's just a lot harder. Not to say that it's impossible, but it's just harder. Genre films are just easier to sell.
How do you choose your scripts? What do you look for in a script?
I always look for something that just is different, that maybe I haven't seen before, that I look for stuff that I would want to watch as an audience member. Just something that I think is compelling, that I think, and of course I'm always looking to, for stuff that would be easy to do on the budget that we have, our resources. A lot of times, you'll get a script, and you start reading it, and the first 10 pages, you just you just know that it's going to be too expensive,
Right.
to
And that's
make.
what Mark says no to.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I put a stop on any kind of period pieces where you have to get all old clothes and old, or you know,
Oh,
or
oh,
westerns, or it's like, oh
oh.
my gosh, to even go through that, and then all the sets you got to do and make it look real, and just can't do that.
Okay. Okay. What do you think the future of streaming it will be, both of you?
Well, streaming is where it's where it's at now. It's where most people watch their content. It's constantly changing. As a filmmaker, it's frustrating because every time we do a film, the distribution landscape is different because it's this ever evolving, changing thing, uh, to where, certain platforms, they come and go. Um, they this platform's available this time, next time it's not. Um, but now that's, especially for independent film, it's where you have the opportunity to get your film seen. It's much harder in the theaters now, because more people are staying home watching stuff on their TV.
Well, that's a good thing for you,
Yeah, it is a good thing
Uh,
because there are many more opportunities. The hard part is that there are so many films being made now that the competition is so much more than it used to be.
fierce. I was going to ask you how the writer's strike affected you. Was it good or bad for you?
Well, the writer strike didn't affect us. Our writer isn't, uh, but the actor strike affected us tremendously, because just as we were getting ready to promote Condition of Return, um, and having our actors go out and do interviews and promotion, the actor strike happened. And suddenly they weren't able to do, not only couldn't they work on a film, but they couldn't do promotion for a film. They
Oh,
couldn't promote our film. And so that kind of put us into a tailspin. What are we going to do? We had all these plans to do press and publicity, and suddenly we weren't able to do it. Luckily, uh, SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, uh, had a situation where if you were an independent film and weren't affiliated with the big studios, you could get it's called an interim agreement, to where if you sign the interim agreement with them, they would allow you to do promotion. And so it took us about a month, to get our agreement, but finally we did, and which we were very
wow.
thankful for, because then our actors could do promotion. So that
Very
had
good.
made a big difference.
What are some of the things that you guys have learned that you wish you had known when you started? Either of you.
I
Oh,
can say,
well,
well, come on.
every time you do a film, you learn a ton. Uh, you
What are
know,
some of the things that you've learned?
Trust your gut, because we
Oh,
had,
yeah.
when people tell you they know, oh, this, in the business, we've done this many times, this is what you do. That doesn't mean that that's what it is. That's just what they've done. That doesn't mean it's right. And so common sense, we kind of, that had we known now going back, we would have done a lot of that differently, just saying, we knew this wasn't right, but we trusted somebody else to guide us through that.
That's wonderful. That is really good advice. I was just going to ask you, what advice do you have for writers and producers trying to break into the market, both of you?
well, my advice always is just to go out and do it. Uh, you know, I there was a point where I made a decision. I knew I wanted to make a film, and I finally, and as scary as it is, and you can always find a million reasons not to do it, um, because it's easier not to do it. Finally, I just said, I got to do it, because if I don't, I'll regret it. I regret not doing it. So you gotta do it, and you gotta go into it knowing that you're gonna make a ton of mistakes, but you're gonna learn a lot, uh, and it's gonna be worth it. You just have to bite the bullet. luckily it's so much easier and so much less expensive to make a movie than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, when we started, it's getting, you know, the equipment is so much better, so much more accessible. You know, anyone can go out and make a movie now, a pretty good quality movie with good equipment. You know, it's right there at their fingertips. So I just say, just do it. You know, it doesn't matter if you make a bunch of mistakes, you're going to learn, and you're going to, you know, use that knowledge for next time.
That's
And,
great. That's
and I
great.
would say you'd want to volunteer to be a production assistant or get on a set. That way you can actually see how things are done and see the chemistry, good and bad, you know, that happens in different sets. You know, you'll meet different people. And you might have connections. We had a couple of people that volunteered for our the second film we did called Sedona, and they ended up going on and having a film career because they, I mean, they were at the beginning stages, and then they end up working and doing everything, you know, and that's really the best way to do it. Because when we did our first film, we had never been on a movie set at all, completely. So we show up, and we were filming this in the south part of Dallas. I had an office down there, the county office, and so we used that area, and we just showed up one day. That was one of our locations. We showed up, and they had like 4 city blocks, you know, blocked off. We had you know, the Teamsters with the trucks, and I mean, there was just a lot of stuff going on, and you don't really realize it. You don't know what goes in. We just kind of show up and like, what do we do? You know, and they said, "Oh, come here. Use like a little monitor." Really, that's kind of cool. So you know, you know, that's what I said. Tommy was right. You know, you just do it. Because there are a lot of people sit around and talk about it, and 20 years goes by, 30 years goes by, and like, man, I wish I would have. Yeah,
That's
and
right.
you can do it even if you're volunteering with somebody. You know,
That's great. Where can we watch Condition of Return? Where can we go to see it?
Well, if you go to our website, conditionofreturn.com, it has right there on the homepage all the places you can watch the film.
Well, I am so impressed with both of you and your tremendous courage in this business. Great job. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Well,
thanks for
thank you
having
for
us.
having us.